What up, Poppin' T fam? It's your host, Poppin' T, back for another episode. Getting started in our all-season plan. Oh, my bad. Got the Power Range today. Starting the all season, man. It's a very exciting time for football. Roster's never going to look the same. It's always exciting to get new faces in the door. Obviously, you guys will be leaving, but we're here to talk about who could possibly be joining the Ravens, this off season. Starting off with T of the day, talking about guys coming in, but maybe a guy might be leaving. Odafe Oweh tweeted out a peace sign very recently. Very cryptic tweet. Pops, what are your initial thoughts on that?
I mean, I have ideas of what it could mean. Obviously, we can't know for sure. My immediate thought was EDC, John Harbaugh alerted him that he was being shopped. I don't know if he's just on the market or if they're trying to use him as a piece in a trade, but I'll tell you now, I would gladly ship away Odafe and a first-round pick for Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, or Micah Parsons. I know that we have no idea if that's what's going on, but if your first tweet in 3 years is a peace sign, something is probably not going right on your end, and you're not happy. So,
yeah,
that's my thoughts on the matter.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. Doesn't look too good. Peace sign. That's never a good tweet. But
Yeah.
I'll see his brother next week. I'll see if I can get an inside scoop for the podcast. See if I can figure out what's going on. But I'm kind of with like a love-hate relationship with Dafe. Like after seeing him kind of finally get double-digit sacks, having him and Kyle Van Noy be the first guy since Dumerville and Terrell Suggs to both post double-digit, edge sacks. I would hate to see him go. As soon as you feel like he's starting to develop. But like you said, if somebody comes calling, from Max Crosby or Myles Garrett, Dafe, I love you. It was a great time, baby, but you gotta go.
Yeah. To be fair, last thing I'll say about it, there was some speculation that maybe Dafe had heard about a potential Tyreek Hill trade, that signature peace sign from Tyreek.
Okay.
Maybe they're working on that as well, but I think more likely it's Dafe's peeved about something, and he's under contract for next year, so the only thing he could be peeved about is potential trades, or maybe he's already asking for a re-up on his contract, which, in my opinion, I don't think it's the best time for you to be doing that right now.
No,
because you haven't blown people away yet. You're still a step away from getting that big payday.
Yeah.
And I think the Ravens would not hand out a large sum of cash to Dafe right now.
Yeah, money's tight right now.
Yeah. But moving away from some possible bad news, possible good news, it's Combine season. I had a blast this weekend watching the Combine. It's just gotten me so excited for the draft. We've been super excited about it here on the podcast, so we decided to keep our eyes on 2 players each before going into the draft, or before going into the Combine, just so we could keep an eye on them throughout the whole process. So we're going to talk about those guys first. My 2 guys were Landon Jackson and Jack Besh. Jack Besh didn't do much at the Combine. His Combine was up and down, but he was more of a player that I had my eyes on before going into the Combine, just because of how good he did at the Senior Bowl. He didn't run, but he had an exceptional broad jump and a 6.84 second 3-cone drill. His broad jump was 10 foot 5 inches, which are very good numbers. This is a dude that is a converted tight end. going into the wide receiver position, and he looked very good on the on-field drills as well, which is really good to me just because you're switching over from tight end, which is not so much about route running and movement. It's more about going up and getting the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that Jack Bech is a great prospect. I don't think he did too much to move himself up during the combine, but we had our eyes on them before the combine for a reason. We didn't have promises that they were going to move up a crazy amount. But my other player that I had an eye on made himself some money at the combine. That player was Landon Jackson. Have you checked out Landon Jackson?
Yeah, I
At
have.
all?
We
So
all know
he's
the viral clip from a couple years ago.
Yeah. He has alopecia, so already he separates himself
Stands
from
out, baby.
yeah, he stands out. And he had that viral clip a couple years ago. He's doing the bag drills, he's doing that like club rip move, and just looked horrible. If you look up Landon Jackson on Twitter, it's gonna be one of the first 5 videos you see.
100%.
But Landon Jackson stands at 6'6", 270, absolute freak athlete. And he tested like it as well at the combine. He ran a 4.68 at 2.6 or 6'6", 270, which is a great run. I think that is 8.83, so the 88th percentile of all defensive ends. This is RAS score.
Okay.
His vertical, that was where he really showed off. He jumped 40.5 inches at the vertical jump, which only 4 edge rushers have done that ever.
Wow.
4 defensive linemen have cleared 40 inches. Those being Myles Garrett, Mario Williams, Shamar Stewart, and Landon Jackson. So
Some good company.
the vertical is very showing for a defensive lineman, especially because it kind of shows you that explosiveness,
Yep.
that get off. So those are great tells for Landon Jackson. His total RAS ended up being 9.88, which puts him in the 98th percentile of all defensive ends that have ever tested at the combine. Just stupid. Like,
It's an athlete.
that's an athlete. He's a raw pass rusher, but I mean, you can't mess around with the physical traits. I'd be hesitant for the Ravens just because we've drafted athletes at edge before and not had it work out.
Mm-hmm.
But just talking purely combine, Landon Jackson had a great day.
Yeah, he did. He definitely showed out. I know this was 4 years ago, Landon. If you hear this, I'm sorry. I'm good off him because of the video of the bag drills.
He ran it at the combine, bro. It looked way better. He did the same exact drill.
I saw all I needed to see 4 years ago. After that, I wrote dude off. But no, he had a great day testing. Athleticism is something that you can't teach. You can teach a guy how to use his hands, how to attack at the line of scrimmage, but you can't teach a guy, to jump a record-breaking vertical. Would definitely be interesting after just talking about Odafe to kind of see what happens. If there's anything if there will be a resolution to that tweet, whatever that meant, before the combine, because that could mean he could be the pick there. Edge rusher is definitely something very important, and depending on how that situation plays out, we'll see how they handle that at 27. Jack Bech.
Besh.
I got to do some more research on him personally. I watched some of his film. I love that he attacks the ball in the air.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't need him to necessarily be as fast because I already do have a Zay Flowers and a Rashad Bateman. But it's also kind of like okay, you go get him. Does he take the red zone targets from like a Isaiah Likely or a Mark Andrews? To me, that pick, it depends on what we do this offseason with the tight ends. If we decide to bring Andrews back or not. If we decide to move on from Andrews, I would love that pick because I think that would be nice to have three wide receivers out there, one that can go get it, one that can is a great route runner down the field, and one is a great route runner intermediate, and then having Isaiah Likely on top of that, that would be very interesting. Um, I want Lamar to have weapons, man. So
Yeah, I
I'm
feel like
always
when we
looking for a
talked
wide
a couple
receiver.
weeks ago, um, you were saying that you wanted a weapon with that first choice, but it sounds like you've kind of changed your mind on that a little bit.
After seeing some of these combine workouts from these other
Yeah,
positions,
these defensive players and offensive linemen, to
yeah,
be fair,
I'm a little more
had
interested in
these.
some of the big boys for sure now. I guess I'll take that to transition into my first guy. First guy I'm going with is Donovan Jackson from Ohio State. Played both guard and tackle at college and is projecting to be more of a guard at the next level. This dude, he just sometimes you just look at a guy, you can just tell he's a ball player, and that's what
Mhm.
Donovan Jackson is for me. I watched his film, man. He looks good. He looks comfortable. His hands can be a little wide at times, can be not slow, but I guess a little slow at times. But it didn't really ever really come back to bite him. When you play in the Big Ten, man, you're playing the best of the best, and especially when you go on to the playoffs, you're playing the best of the best again. Watching him against James Pierce Jr., I liked what I saw
Mhm.
from that. Also watched his tape against Abdul Carter, looked very good in the first half. Second half, Abdul Carter, his athleticism and just his freak get off, eventually caught up with
Crazy.
Donovan Jackson. But a guy like Abdul, that's just going to happen, man. Um, he didn't really do any. I don't think he did any like testing at the combine, but he did do drills. He looked fluid, wave drill. He looked very good. And he's supposedly dealing with an ankle injury from the season. So that just shows you, man, that he wants to go get it. Played through the injury in the season, came out to the combine, testing, trained for it, all obviously with the ankle injury, and then still performed. They had a good day. 6'4", 315. I like it. I like it, and it's similar to a Patrick McCard, but it's a bigger body. It's a guy who can give you both tackle and guard. So let's say we bring him in to play left guard, and eventually, let's say we only sign Stanley to a 2-year deal. Eventually, we can move him outside and go draft guard again.
Yeah.
Or Voorhees is maybe ready by then. Something like that. You never know. He just gives you a lot of flexibility. I'd be very interested to see if he's there at 27 because I think after his combine and just how he looked in drills, a lot of teams are really up on Donovan Jackson right now.
Yeah. I think versatility is very important with this pick at 27, just because of the uncertainty besides Tyler Linderbaum and Roger Rosengarten.
Yes.
So,
Yes. All right. So for my second pick, I've been saying his name wrong all week.
Emin Wari.
Nick Emenwari.
Yeah.
There we go, baby. What Pat McAfee like to say? DAWG, dog.
Yes.
That's what this man is. This is a 6'3", 220-pound safety who's built like a linebacker and ran a 4.38 at the combine.
Yeah.
This is one of those guys where if a lot of teams weren't so QB needy in offensive weapons, I don't know if he'll be there at 27. I think because of how many teams need quarterbacks and offensive guys, offensive linemen, wide receivers, I think we have a chance.
Yeah.
Dude, this guy, he just jumps out on you in film. It just reminds me of a Derwin James. Just how naturally he plays football. He's just very athletic. He's very comfortable out there. Can play the pass, can play the run, can play in the box, can play deep. He's Kyle Hamilton. He's just not, as tall. And he's faster, which is the amazing thing. He's very good with his hands, which is very uncommon for a safety. That's more of a DB trait. Safeties more struggle with playing the ball in the air and catching. And that's why they're not playing wide receiver. That's why they're not playing DB. That's why I safety. You're as far away from the ball as you can possibly get. But he's not one of those guys. He can go catch. He can defend the ball. And I think we'll get into that later. I'm not going to spoil it now, but at 27, if he's available, man, you got to run that card in.
Yeah. Dude, you said Kyle Hamilton, and I don't think that's like a lazy comp either. Like, this is the closest athlete we have in the NFL is Kyle Hamilton.
Yes.
I think that Emin is a better athlete. I think that Kyle Hamilton is better up here, and I think he is a little bit more fluid as a football player.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we were talking about RAS earlier. Dude, Nick Emin is the greatest testing safety of all time.
Yeah.
Of all time. He's 10. Like, RAS scores out of 10, he's a perfect 10. Like, every measurable, from the testing to the weight, the height, like everything is perfect on Emin.
Yeah.
So I just think those three are Darius, Kyle, Emin on the back end, and just like rotating one of those three bullies down to play in the box. Like, that's a buzzsaw, dude. That's a buzzsaw.
Teams wouldn't know what to do with it because none of them are afraid to come tackle.
They're not. It's not even about tackling. None of them are afraid to come hit.
Yes.
Hit.
Yes.
They will come and punch you in the mouth.
Yes. Yes, and that's Baltimore Ravens football.
Yeah.
So to have all three of them together, and then to think that's still, okay, that's your safeties. And then you still have Wiggins and
Roquan.
Marlowe, and you still have Big Zero in the middle.
Laying the boom as well.
At the front, like, it's just, it would be a very young, a very athletic, very fast, very hard-hitting defense. And that's what
I'd be like
Baltimore
Tyler
is.
Lockett if I'm running across the middle of the field. Like, I'm
dropping
catching the
every
ball
time.
and I'm going down.
Immediately. I'm not fighting for
Because
no
you have
extra
4
yards.
dudes that are professional, like guillotines. Like, they will come take your head off.
Yes.
All 4 of those dudes converging on you. Like, it's kind of a dream come true. We were talking the other day, just like pipe dream. Like, what if the Ravens took Ashton Genty and just had those 3 in the backfield? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Except it's on defense, and it actually makes sense to do it.
It does. It's just like the way I think it's so funny because it's like, okay, you have this big 6'4" demon in Kyle Hamilton, you have this big 6'3" demon in Nick, and then you got little 5'9" on Darius.
It's a little spark plug. Just
Boys, he gonna light it up. That little
Yeah.
motherfucker gonna light it up. Jeez.
Yeah.
I would really love to see that, especially with Zach Orr in year 2 being more comfortable, and Chuck Pagano to come work with Nick. It feels like a match made in heaven for Baltimore. So I'd be very interested, see if he's still available by the time we get up.
Yep. I think that covers our 4 players, unless you had anything else to say on your guys.
Nah, that was it. I'm good.
We wanted to talk a little bit more combine. Just guys that really stood out to us and had good days. I'll go ahead and start us out. James Pierce made himself a whole lot of money. This was I feel like a late day 1 or a late first round pick kind of guy before the combine.
Mm-hmm.
But he comes out and he runs a 4.49, which is just stupid. I think he's 6'5", 245. He's lighter, but still a big dude. Runs a 4.49, which is like running back speed.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even the thing watching James Pierce to me that like got me. It was like he's running these drills in the drill period and making all the other defensive linemen look awkward running these drills because he's just that fluid, dude.
It looked like he was out of position.
Yeah.
Like, if that makes any sense. Like, not that everybody else was out of position. It was that James Pierce wasn't supposed to be with this group. Yeah. He was supposed to go be doing drills with the linebackers or the safeties or the corners. Like that's how athletic, fluid. It just looked natural.
Yeah.
It didn't look like it was a big boy who went and dropped 30 pounds before the combine to get his 40 time down. No, that looked like it was just normal to him. Like it was another day in the park for James Pierce.
Yeah. And that was another uh, really high RAS score. He finished with a 9.35. And I think it would have been a whole lot better if he was a little bit heavier
Definitely.
than what he came in
And
at.
if his vert was a little better, only jumped to 31.
Yeah. So I think that he probably moved himself from the back end of the first to maybe sneaking in as high as uh, the Panthers at 8, Saints at 9, like that range for
I
sure.
can agree.
Who you got?
So James Pierce is obviously a guy on my list. For this one, I'm gonna talk about a hometown kid, Dante Thornton Jr., wide receiver from
Mm,
Tennessee. Local kid, grew up in Baltimore. I'm not sure if he's a Ravens fan or anything like that, but I played with him in middle school and then ended up going to Mount St. Joe for high school. Originally transferred, I mean not transferred, but went to Oregon and then transferred to Tennessee. The kid is 6'5", 6'5", 205. Poppy, he ran out there and ran a 4.3 flat.
Give me them numbers again.
6'5", 205, 4.3 flat.
God.
So, that caught my eye right there. I knew the kid was fast. I didn't know he was 4.3 fast.
Yeah.
And to think the dude is 6'5". I think he broke like Tennessee school record for most 30-yard receiving catches. Was a big deep ball threat for that offense this year. It was kind of hit or miss, but you saw the flashes. And then when he went out there and ran the drills, the wide receiver drills, he just looked natural. He looked fluid. I think he was at the Reese's Senior Bowl. I'm not sure if it was a Senior Bowl or the East West Shrine Bowl, but I watched that tape. He looked good in the one-on-one wide receiver drills. Man, he was coming down with everything. So I definitely think this is a guy. If he's there for us in later rounds, I would love to bring the hometown kid back home for sure.
For sure. I haven't checked up too much on his tape, but I definitely got to dig into it a little bit because that's crazy
6'5",
athletic numbers.
205, 4'3", baby.
Yeah.
Lamar, that deep ball is starting to come around a little more. That might be another option for us.
Yeah. Another guy I want to talk about made himself a ton of money this weekend. Armand Membu, out of Mizzou. This was one of those combine performances that stacks up with Nick Emenwari and a guy that I'm sure we'll talk about later on in this episode. But he finished with a 9.89 RAS score. So I think that I was listening today and he was 16th out of 1,400 tackles to test at the combine, like ever. So this dude is a freak athlete. Had a great day. Looked amazing in the on-field drills. Runs a 4.91 at the combine. At 332.
At what?
332
Jeez.
at 6'4". 6'4", 332. Runs a 4.91. This is a guy that will probably end up playing tackle in the league just because of how athletic he is. He's probably a little short for tackle. Probably could move inside into guard, but if I'm the Ravens, if I'm a GM, I'm looking at Membu as a tackle. And I think personally, after how good of his combine was, I think there was questions about who is offensive lineman 1 in this draft.
Yeah.
I think Membu locked that up. There was Kelvin Banks was in that conversation, Josh Connerly, Membu, obviously, but I think Will Campbell, obviously, but I think Membu passed him up, especially with how short Will Campbell's arms were at the combine.
Yeah, I think Membu definitely had a great day. I remember seeing kind of some of his on-field drills. I believe, I believe it was something I was watching. But just looks natural. Looks like a basketball player. I think that's one of the things I look for in tackles, offensive linemen. Is were they basketball players growing up? And he just looked like one of those guys. That 4.91 you said right
Yeah.
at 334 that blows my mind. I hate for whatever linebacker or safety has to come meet him in the gap
Yeah.
on a trap counter, whatever it is, because he's going to get to that spot fast. Wow. Well, I'm just really stuck on that 4.91 at 330. That's amazing to me.
Yeah, he had a. We were talking about how each score gets graded. Everything besides his height is above 90th percentile.
Wow.
Every every measurement he took this weekend was above 90th percentile.
Yeah,
Height
that's
or weight, he put up 31 bench reps. Vertical was a 34. That's 97th percentile. Broad, 97th percentile. 40, 97th percentile. 10-yard split, 91st percentile.
wow.
Just stupid.
Yeah, that boy definitely would not be there at 27.
Yeah. He's going to go to the Bears probably.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely helped Caleb out.
So that was definitely someone I wanted to talk about at O-line.
I'm loving the wide receivers right now. I really think the Ravens could use another one. A guy that jumped out to me and is, yes, it's he had a great performance, but it's more of what his teammate didn't do. Isaiah Bond told everybody he was going to go break the combine record, ran a 4.4, and then his teammate Matthew Golden ended up running a faster 40 than him with a 4.29. Matthew Golden, 5'11", 191. I like him, man. I like him a lot. He's kind of a Chris Olave type. That's who they're kind of comparing him to. They believe his route running can be a little more refined, but he's one of those guys that will go and catch the ball with his hands. That's a very big thing when I look at college wide receivers. It's very comfortable to just catch the ball with your body because you know you're faster than everybody out there and you're more athletic and you can beat guys as soon as you get the catch and go. But the guys who are really willing to go out there, grab the ball with their hands, they translate well to the NFL because that big ass ball pause coming at you 60 miles an hour from Justin Herbert, you're not going to catch that when it hits your chest. It's only with your hands. And he shows that he has the ability to go make those aggressive catches, and then he has that after the catch ability where he can go break a catch for 50 yards, 67 yards. He can play punt return. He can play kick returner. The dude is elusive. I think he can be a number one in the future. I really do. We'll see where he ends up going. I don't think he'll. I really don't know if he'll go first round. I think he's kind of a round one to round two type of guy. You're disagreeing with that? Talk to me.
I think that that number in the 40 just pushed him firmly into the first
You
round.
think so?
Honestly, I think that if you're that fast and you can catch the ball well and you have some of the route snap that Matthew Golden has, maybe he doesn't have the full route tree yet
Yeah.
because he was in limited roles, but like when he snaps off 10-yard in, like there's crazy separation.
Yeah. It's gone.
And I think that GMC 4-2 and they have to.
Yeah. It's hard
They
not
have
to.
to.
It's hard not to for sure.
Yeah. So I think he firmly moved himself into at least the back end of the first round.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking into the first, or at least like first 5 picks of the second.
Yeah.
But obviously we'll see what draft day comes around.
Yeah. I think we have time for probably one more each.
Yeah, that's cool.
I wanted to quickly talk about Jahdae Barron, another Texas player. Matthew Golden, Texas. Jahdae Barron, Texas. We knew this dude could cover
Yep.
man, zone, going to fit in any system, but I don't think people were expecting him to run the 40 that he did.
Mhm.
Comes out and runs a 4.440.
I see. Yeah.
Which is just a great number. I think that he moved himself up in the draft, and I think that he was kind of a fringe guy, but I think he moved himself into the first round. We'd already talked about Nick Emenwari adding him to the Ravens.
Yeah.
There's a needed corner as well, so I think that this is someone that the Ravens will also have their eye on.
Yeah. It's just like Nate, a fast corner that can play man. I'm very big on those guys because those are guys that you can. Those are the type of guys. The guys who like to play man, the guys who want to play man, and they can also run, are the guys that you can leave on the island all day and you don't have to worry about him because you know he can run with the Tyreek Hill and Xavier Worthy, those type of guys, and he's not scared of a matchup against a CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, the guys you know is going to get 10, 15 targets a game. So yeah, his combine definitely moved him up on my stock as well. It's just like it's with all these players we keep talking about. It's just so enticing because it's just like the Ravens could take any one of them and plug and play immediately, and I think all of them would be very good fits.
I completely agree, and it's just so tough because there's obviously the blue chippers at the top, your Abdul, your quarterbacks, your Will Campbell, your Mason Graham, your Travis Hunter. Yeah. But then there's a whole lot of good football players, and I have no clue where they're going to go. Maybe there's a run of edge rushers early, and the receivers fall. Maybe Tet McMillan comes off the board, and then Luther Burden, and then Matthew Golden quickly. I just have no clue how this is going to go. So it's hard to predict what's going to happen this far out, but
it is.
I think as pro days happen and there's a little bit more clarity with the teams, we'll have a better idea. But it's tough. This is a weird class.
It is. There's just like you were saying. There's a lot of talent, and there's really a lot of talent around that like same range. I think who was it? I think Mel Kiper had said like between like pick 10 and 35. All of those guys are around the same caliber guys.
Yeah.
So it's just like there's so much talent in such a big group, especially in the bigs, and it's just like it feels like this is a draft for the Ravens. It's like EDC. Everything you need is right here, right in front of you, and it's in an amplitude. It's in a multitude of guys from every round. There are guys that you can get to and attack, and especially us. We have a lot of 3rd to 5th round picks this year. I think 5 in between those 2 rounds. So it's like, man, you got a lot to play with. You got a lot to play with. Pause. I'll go into the next guy, who might be available around 3. I don't know how the running backs will go. Trayvon Henderson back at Ohio State. This is a guy. It's kind of like a BPA, best player available. I think if he ends up in Baltimore, because obviously Derrick Henry is going to get extended, and then with the addition of Saquon just getting extended today, $20 million a year, that's going to make things a little difficult for us in Baltimore, definitely. And with having him, Justice Hill, and Keaton Mitchell on contract already, just drafting Rasheen Ali last year, having Owen Wright on contract as well. We may not have space for Trayvon Henderson, but I really do think he's a smaller back who's physical, though, but has that explosiveness to get out and break 67-yard runs. I don't need him to be an every down back if he were to come to Baltimore, but I really do think he can be a change of pace back on 3rd downs, passing situations. He can just give you a spark like Jahmyr Gibbs. Obviously, he's not as fast as Jahmyr Gibbs, but I do think he brings that type of explosiveness to the field. Ran a 4.43 40, 10-8 broad jump, explosive back. I'd be very interested to see. I would be very interested to see what it looks. Hold on, I messed it up again. I'm interested to see what Trayvon would look like in a Ravens jersey. There we go.
Yeah. And throw in the fact that he's the best pass blocker in this draft, and he's going to get on the field if he does get drafted by the Ravens.
100%.
So I think that is a good synopsis of some of our favorite players from this past weekend at the Combine. It was a pleasure watching. I think I enjoy it more every single year as I learn more and more about the sport and how everything goes down. Um, I think last thing I want to finish up with, TJ, gut feeling. Who do you want the Ravens to draft at 27 after this combine?
If
Um,
if everything
assuming they'll be there.
if everything works out right, man, it's hard for me, but give me Donovan Jackson.
Hmm.
I really want Nick. I really do. I really do. But I have more faith in Kyle Hamilton and our Darius Washington, and being able to just plug a third guy in there than I do in the offensive line going forward. I think obviously Daniel Fale had a great season. I think he's still a little bit of a question mark, as you were talking about earlier. Stanley's contract situation and Patrick McCarr are all question marks. So give me the offensive line, protect Lamar, keep Lamar healthy. And as long as you give Lamar time in the pocket, open up running lanes for Derrick Henry, sky's the limit for Baltimore.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say one of those receivers because I thought you were going to say Nick Emmanwori, but since you didn't, I'm going to say Nick Emmanwori. I just am obsessed with the thought of that
I am too, man.
secondary with him in it, and I mean, it's literally scary to think about that safety room.
Yeah.
And like that's Legion of Boom. Not Legion of Boom
It feels
in
like
the sense of they'll be like as good as the Legion of Boom. But one, I think they could be. Two, I just think that they would scare offenses with the size, the physicality, and the instincts.
Yeah. I really think that trio could be dangerous in the league for a long time.
Think about the investment in that secondary too. First round pick, 2 corners, Nate Wiggins, Marlon Humphrey. First round pick, Kyle Hamilton, Nick Emmanwori. Like those are not blue chip, but those are first round talented pieces in your secondary.
See, I love that. I need that on the O-line, though. I need Stanley first round pick, Donovan Jackson first round pick, Tyler Linderbaum first round pick, Roger Rosengarten second round pick.
And I agree with you. I think that the O-line is more important. I didn't want to go that path because you already went that path, but I would not at all be upset if this was the pick at 27.
The dream is Nick, but what we really need is an offensive lineman. But Nick is like, it's like that that suit or whatever, those shoes you see outside the mall. You just window shopping. You want it so bad, but you know there are other things. You got food at home. I'll put it like that. It's like driving by McDonald's and know you got food at home, but boy, do I want that quarter pounder.
Yeah,
I want it bad.
Well, I think that wraps up our episode. We got a lot more coming your way this off season, but definitely wanted to talk about this event and how this draft is shaping up in April.
Yep. Stay with us, man. It's going to be a great time. This is what we love to do, break down football. So, we'll be doing it all off season.
Peace.